What's up, big ballers, shot callers? Big Ken here. I just want to talk about Caitlin Clark going live today. Hopefully, I can bring in some live viewers. Um, so, Caitlin Clark, a big topic in the WNBA. I mean, some people might be tired about hearing about her because it seems like every day there's something going on with Caitlin Clark. Personally, I think Caitlin Clark should be treated a lot better than what she's been treated so far in the WNBA. You know, I don't understand all the hate and animosity towards her. It just seems like there's a lot going on with the WNBA. You know, for years and years, the WNBA players are complaining about not getting money, not getting recognition, being underpaid, being underappreciated, all these things, and that's all very true. And for whatever reason, the past couple of years, when Caitlin Clark, when she was playing at Iowa, she just took women's college basketball by storm, and it's continued into the WNBA with her being the number one pick in the draft. So I think the WNBA players are offended because, well, some, not all of them, but a lot of them are offended. I don't know how many, but there's a pretty big amount. I don't know what the exact numbers are, but a lot of women seem to be upset. They're not all, but a lot. They feel like well, they've been really good before Caitlin Clark got there, and that's true. That is very, very true. And that's something other people have talked about, and I'll mention that later. But yes, there's been other really good players. There's women that started the WNBA back in 1997, like people like Lisa Leslie and Dawn Staley and other great players. They're all on the top of my head, but there's been some really good players. And there's really good players playing now. Obviously, Asia Wilson, Brianna Stewart, probably being they're probably the two best players in the WNBA currently, at least in my opinion. So I understand the women saying like, yes, we've been really good for a long time. Yes, that's true, but for whatever reason, you guys weren't getting viewers. You weren't getting viewers. You weren't bringing in the revenue. I mean, don't take that the wrong way, ladies, but that's just the way it is. But for whatever reason, Caitlin Clark has brought in viewers, has brought in money, and now you guys finally got this recognition you want. You finally got people watching you guys, and then you're treating Caitlin Clark this way. I mean, she's your bankroll, man. Or she's helping you out in the bankroll. Is other really good players in her draft class? Because that's been mentioned too. Yes, absolutely. Angel Reese, very good player. Cameron Brink, very good player. They're both doing well so far in WNBA. And there's others. Camila Cardoso's had her WNBA, debut because she got her shoulder, had a shoulder injury in preseason, and she missed like the first 9 or 10 games of the year, something like that. And she just had her WNBA debut, last week, and she played really well. But I believe I think they lost. I think that was the game they lost to the Fever. Actually, is when she debuted, if I remember correctly. But anyway, she played well though in a loss. Shannon Carter's foul on Caitlin Clark, non-basketball play. She didn't want to answer questions during the post game, which I didn't understand. I understand if you don't want to talk. I mean, you don't have to talk if you don't want to, but I kind of agree with what something Draymond Green was saying. And Draymond Green is known for doing crazy things in the NBA. We know this. He had a huge suspension this past season. I mean, he's been a very fiery guy since he's been in the league in general. But last couple of years he was getting kind of out of control, and this year it kind of boiled over. He's got some issues up here a little bit, but at the same time, he's their team leader, and he kind of brings some energy. And he might be a little bit crazy. Some people might think he's a little bit crazy in the head, but one thing I would say though is I agree with what his comments were. His comments were like, "Hey," he was telling Shannon Carter, like, "Look, man, if you're gonna do what you did, you need to stand by it." He's like, "I stand by the things I've done, like with, some of the things that got him suspended, So, yeah, I understood But he was saying like, hey, if you're gonna do what you did, just stand by and say you did it, and don't like run away from the press conference. He was saying that she was wrong for not answering questions in the press conference. I completely agree with Draymond Green. Here's the biggest thing though: why isn't Caitlin Clark's teammates helping her out? Why isn't? And I really like Aaliyah Boston. Aaliyah Boston, I like you. I like you a lot. But why you just kind of casually like strolled over there? You did help her up off the ground, but you didn't like. It's almost like you weren't upset of what happened to your teammate. Usually that would clear benches in other games. That happened like people would come off the bench and not to be asked to go back to the bench. The referees had to get involved. I mean, it would be crazy. It'll be a melee, and the referees had to get that cleaned up quickly, before it got out of control. But there was no reaction. It seemed like there was no reaction. So obviously, I don't know for sure, but just my initial thoughts are like her teammates don't even want to help her out, man. Like, I don't get it. What about Indiana Fever's coach? She has finally made some comments recently that this has to stop for Caitlin Clark, but early on it didn't seem like she was saying much. I mean, she is now, so good on her for that, but early on she wasn't. I'll tell you what, something that Austin Rivers said. Austin Rivers, Charles Barkley, LeBron James, other NBA players completely support Caitlin Clark. That's why I don't understand why the WNBA players don't, because all these NBA players do. And the NBA has been holding up the WNBA when they're struggling. Like the NBA was holding up the WNBA when they're getting no revenue. So I don't get it. Charles Barkley says they're petty. I think I had to agree with that. What he said was, look, women, you need to be better than us men. Because what he said was us guys, we could be very petty at times, and we're the most insecure creatures on earth. That is a very true statement. He was saying women need to be better than what guys are sometimes. But here's the one thing I think guys don't do, at least in my opinion. Can some guys do this? Yes, of course. But in general, not trying to put stereotypes out there, but in general, I don't think guys have the jealousy. Not that guys can't be jealous. We can, but I think there's a thing with women and jealousy and how they treat other women sometimes. I think that's part of this whole thing, and women can be very vindictive, so I think that's what part of what's going on. Can guys be this way? Yes, but that seems to be more of a women kind of thing, Of course, all women aren't like that, but that seems to be in something in women's blood, though, in my opinion. And I've seen this in dealing with women, whether it's at work or other situations where this stuff can definitely happen. And it's sad. But us guys, we're not perfect either. Obviously, we have some faults. We all do. But I agree with Charles Barkley, though. Here's the other thing. I love what not Draymond. I already told you about Draymond Green. I love what Austin Rivers said. Austin Rivers said he did it very calmly. He kind of gave the the old and current, WNBA players their props, saying, "Yes, I was watching you guys as a kid. You guys have great players. I was growing up watching people like Lisa Leslie and Dawn Staley and Count Sue Bird, countless other really good WNBA players when he was growing up as a kid. And obviously, Doc Rivers' dad is the coach and former NBA player, and Austin Rivers is playing in the NBA. At least he was. I knew Austin Rivers was having a pretty long career in the NBA. He's kind of a journeyman player. He's been a role player in his career. What he was saying though was, yes, he gave the WNBA their props, but he also said kind of the same thing. Like, look, it's been long overdue. Yes, the WNBA has been really good before Caitlin Clark arrived on the scene, but for whatever reason, the views and the revenue just wasn't coming in, and it's sad. It's unfortunate. It sucks that it didn't, because the WNBA has been very deserving for a long time, but it just is what it is, and the revenue wasn't coming in, but now it is with Caitlin Clark. Like, she's your cash cow. What he was saying, you have to protect your best asset, because she's bringing in views and money. And the thing that he said that I really liked, I think that was a very good description, was he said, if he was saying, if it was Destiny's Child, Caitlin Clark would be Beyonce. If it was NSYNC, Caitlin Clark would be Justin Timberlake, meaning that she's the main focus. I completely agree with that. She is the main focus. Is she the only good player in the WNBA? Of course not. I don't think anyone's ever thought that or said that. That's why I don't even know why this is even coming into conversation. Um, there is other good players. I've mentioned already some current, and former WNBA players that are good. Some that have played and retired, and some that are still playing, like Brandon Stewart and Asia Wilson and other players. I mean, my goodness, and I just don't see why they're getting so offended by that, man. Yes, there's other good players, but for every reason, Caitlin Clark is the main reason that WNBA is really picking up right now. So I don't get it. And has Caitlin Clark played lights out? No, she has not played lights out, but she hasn't played badly though either. She's had one 30-point game so far. She's had 4 or 5 games scoring 20 plus points. But she has had some turnover issues, no doubt about that. In her WNBA debut game, she had 20 points, but she did have the 10 turnovers, which was the most in WNBA history for a debut game. So she suffered there, and she's still having turnovers, but she's also has had like a lot of assists, a lot of rebounds. She's averaging like 1 or 2 steals a game. And I said this from the very beginning. Caitlin Clark is going to have her struggles where sometimes she can't score, and sometimes her shot's going to be on. She's going to be hitting threes like crazy. I mean, hence having her, she already had one 30-point game. But I always said from the very beginning she has other intangibles though, and it showed. I think in her first 10 games, she was like she was the only player, but she was like in a very elite list in her first 10 games. She had 150 plus points, had like or 50 assists and 50 rebounds, something like that. She's in a very like elite list with like two or three other WNBA players have done something like this. So Caitlin Clark is doing her thing, like she's gonna be up and down with her shooting and scoring, but she does other things. And unfortunately, her team isn't, any good, and that doesn't help things out, when your team isn't any good. I mean, there's a reason why she was number 1 draft pick and she went to. Well, I mean, there's a reason why Indiana Fever, had the number 1 choice and number 1 draft pick. I mean, that was, so they're not a good team. But I did expect them to be a little bit better. I didn't expect them to be 2-10, but I knew they weren't going to be going to like no WNBA finals or something like that. But I didn't expect them to be 2-10. I thought they'd be a little bit better, especially since they have Aaliyah Boston. She was a rookie of the year last year, and they added Caitlin Clark, and they also have Kelsey Mitchell. She could put up points. I think she was like the 3rd or 4th leading scorer in women's college basketball, so she can score. So I thought that they would be a little bit better, but I didn't think like I said, I didn't think they're going to be making any kind of like deep run anywhere. But I thought they'd be better than 2-10. Caitlin Clark is coming off her worst game, only having 3 points, shooting 1 out of 10 from the field. Like she had her worst game by far so far. She had a couple other games where she was under double digits, only scoring like 7 or 8 points, but this was by far her worst, only scoring 3. Like I said, 1 out of 10. Not good at all, but it happens. But like I said earlier in this live broadcast, I mean, she's had 4 or 5 games over 20 plus points, the one 30-point game. And she's had other games where she's scored like 17, 18 points, something like that. And she's had a couple like 11 or 12-point games, so she's had, I think out of 12 games, she's had 9 games in double digits and 3 in single digits. So she isn't doing horrible. But like I said, no one thought she'd be lights out. I guess there's some people that thought she was just gonna take over the league completely. I never thought that. I think most people did, but there's some people out there like some of her fans are fanatics. Probably thought like she's just gonna automatically be the best player in the WNBA right off the jump. No one thought that. I mean, most people didn't think this. I would say, I think we all thought she would do well, and I think she is doing well, but no one thought she was going to be better than Asia Wilson or Brianna Stewart right off the jump. I mean, Asia Wilson and Brianna Stewart have been in the league for several years, and they've already made a name for themselves. I mean, they both won multiple WNBA championships. No one thought that Caitlin Clark was going to be better than these 2 players. And they also have really good team. They just have a good team in general. Like Las Vegas Aces, man. They got Asia Wilson, Kelsey Plum, and New York Liberty is loaded. Besides, Brianna Stewart. I mean, They have a really good team. They just have a really good team, you know. Ah, but I want to know your thoughts and comments about this whole Caitlin Clark hate. And here's another thing about I'm not a big fan of Asia Reese. It's not because she's black and I'm white, and the reason why, and people might say the only reason why I like Caitlin Clark is because she's white and obviously I'm white. No, that's not the freaking case at all, man. They keep on bringing that into it too, and it's driving me freaking crazy. Um, the reason why I'm not a big fan of Angel Reese is because ever since she's been playing in college, she just runs her mouth too freaking much. Is trash talking part of the game? Yes, trash talking is part of the game. I don't mind trash talking. I've done a little bit myself when I played high school, when I played basketball during my day in my prime. It's always gonna be part of the game, but I think there's a big difference between trash talking a little bit and this trash talking all the time, run your mouth all the time, saying ridiculous things, and that's where I see Angel Reese. And I think Angel Reese is very immature, and Caitlin Clark seems to have more maturity. And some people might say, "Well, you're saying that again because are you saying that Caitlin Clark is more mature because she's white and Angel Reese is not mature because she's black?" No, I'm not saying that. No, I'm not saying that because. But some people are going to think that because some people are just trying to keep on trying to put this whole white and black thing spin on this whole thing, and it's driving me nuts. Has nothing to do with it. At the end of the day, I just think Caitlin Clark is more mature, has nothing to do with her skin color. And I think Angel Reese is immature, has nothing to do with her skin color. Angel Reese is all over social media. She's just one of these young ladies. Social media is a big thing in their generation. She's just on social media way too much. Like she lives and breathes on social media. Caitlin Clark doesn't as much. But Angel Reese is just a social media hound. She has to post like 20 things a day on social media. I mean, that's just the way she is right now. She's immature, but in her defense, I was very immature at her age at 20 years old. So like I said many times before, I give Angel Reese some passes, but I don't like how she's trying to say. One thing Angel Reese has said recently, which I don't agree with, she's trying to say that hey, Caitlin Clark isn't the only reason we're getting views. It's me too. I mean, she's partially correct. Because yes, the Angel Reese Caitlin Clark matchup was a very intriguing matchup because when Angel Reese won the national championship at LSU, that was the first time that Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese matched up together, and that led to the following season, this past season, where there was a rematch in the Elite Eight and Caitlin Clark got her revenge. So yes, Angel Reese has brought some popularity to the game as well because people were very intrigued about her matchup. There is no doubt about that. But I don't think, but I'm sorry, Angel Reese, you're not on the same conversation as Caitlin Clark. You helped out. You were a part of the growth, but you're not like a focal point of it. I mean, and that's where I said early in the show, repeat myself, where it seems like a lot of WNBA players are so upset and so offended because of how because of this kind of thing. Like, yes, there are good players and everything else, but you're just not the main focal point right now. Caitlin Clark is. But here's the thing. Here's the other thing. Like Caitlin Clark is bringing. I think Caitlin Clark bringing hype to the game and bringing viewers to the game. I think it could help get the other really good players recognized, like a Asia Wilson, like a Brandon Stewart, like Kelsey Plum. I mean, because now, to me, this kind of makes sense. Like, since there's more views, some of these other women who are really good players on other teams are going to get recognized. I mean, some people knew who they were already because I'm a big sports guy. I knew who they were, but some people just didn't know who they were because they weren't paying attention to the WNBA. But now they are. So now some of these other players are going to get recognized and it's well deserved. That's the other thing I don't get is like, look, man, she is bringing in recognition to the whole entire league, not just herself. So I don't get it. And I just think the WNBA needs to do a lot better, man. They could do so much better because I'm telling you, man. Right now, the whole love hate thing is working because it's bringing a lot of views. But I'm telling you, this could fall apart on the WNBA in the next couple of years if they don't get this thing cleaned up. Like I said, it's okay for now because it's the first year. There's a lot of hype around it, whether you like her or don't like Caitlin Clark. So it's bringing a lot of people to watch the whole love hate thing. But I'm telling you, man, it can change the next couple of years if it doesn't get cleaned up. Because what if Caitlin Clark wants to leave the WNBA because she doesn't like the way she's being treated and she takes her game somewhere else? It will I won't say destroy the big word, but it will definitely hurt the WNBA. They'll go back to where they were 2 or 3 years ago. Will the WNBA exist? Yeah, it'll exist because, like I said, there's other really good players, but it will hurt the WNBA if Caitlin Clark would leave the WNBA because of the treatment that she's getting. So, women, stop being petty, stop hating on her. I think it's mostly jealousy, but I do think, unfortunately, some race is involved, maybe even sexism a little bit. Because Caitlin Clark is a straight white girl, Catholic girl from Iowa, and there was a lot of WNBA players who are gay. I have nothing against gay women, but that might be a thing that since she's not gay, but I know there is other WNBA players that aren't gay. I know Kelsey Plum is married to an NFL player, Darren Waller. At least she was. I think she's still married to him. But I mean, so there is some straight women in the WNBA, but the majority of the league is gay. Like I don't care either way personally, but is there inclusion? I've been kind of suspicious about their whole inclusion thing from the very beginning. I'm not saying they don't have it, but I've always been I've been suspicious about their word inclusion because if they have true inclusion, they should accept Caitlin Clark, as who she is. And I want to bring back Shannon Carter again. I know I mentioned her earlier. I know I'm kind of all over the place, but this is a live stream, so I'm just doing my thing for the first time here. But I mentioned Shannon D. Carter earlier in this show, and she didn't want to answer questions in post game about Caitlin Clark. Here's another thing that bothered me about her. Is one thing she did say in the post game is she said she didn't say anything because one of the journalists had asked her, "Did you say anything to Caitlin Clark?" And she said, "No, she didn't." That is a flat out freaking lie. I can read her lips. Don't want to repeat it on the show, but basically saying you effing white bit, B word, she brought race into it and she called her the B word, like she'd said something before she like did the cheap shot on her. Is Caitlin Clark completely innocent? No, she's not, because I'm sure Caitlin Clark talks trash, like I said earlier in the show. Again, like trash talking is part of the game. I don't think Caitlin Clark is innocent because she's a feisty player and she talked trash in college too. But there's a difference between talking trash and being dirty, and I don't think Caitlin Clark has ever been a dirty player. She might say something every now and then, like I said, she's not completely innocent, but just because she's not completely innocent, I don't think she deserves this treatment. She definitely does not deserve a cheap shot. Because that was a non-basketball play, and Shannon Carter is not being honest about saying she didn't say anything. She absolutely did, and she called her the B word, and even worse, she said she brought race into it. She said, white bit, so yeah, she's not being she's lying. So I don't get it, man. I just don't get it. Some people are trying to say, well, if you're going to say this about Caitlin Clark, you need to say this about Angel Reese because Angel Reese had a hard foul given against her, which is true. There's some truth to that, but that was only one time. And the player who committed the foul against Angel Reese, she got ejected from the game for a flagrant foul. Shannon Carter got a flagrant foul, but she didn't get ejected, which I was okay with that because it wasn't as bad as a foul against Angel Reese, because Angel Reese basically got clothesline trying to go for offensive rebound. That's very dangerous. So she had a bigger chance of injury. So I understand why, the officials ejected that player from that game, But my point is, this only happened to Angel Reese once. It was a bad foul. It definitely deserved an ejection, but it was only once. This is happening to freaking Caitlin Clark almost not every game, but dang near every game. I mean, they are just taking her out, man. So I don't get it, and I don't get why all the NBA players are supporting Caitlin Clark, which I think is the right thing because they should be not, and why the WNBA players aren't. That makes no sense at all. I'm gonna finish my broadcast. But I saw some people, were coming off and on this thing while I was talking. So I appreciate it. I'll end the stream here and I'll put it up on my YouTube channel. Again, this show is called From the Grid to the Rim Sports Talk Show. My friends and I do this show. We talk about sports. We talk about obviously right now we're talking about basketball, but we talk about football and other sports also. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about NBA finals here. My friend and I will be doing a show on either Monday or Tuesday night. So watch our show. We won't be doing it live, but we'll what my friends and I do is I record it from Zoom and then I upload it to YouTube later. So we will be talking NBA finals. And again, this is From the Grid to the Rim Sports Talk Show. Please leave comments, good or bad, how we can improve the show and things like that, or topics you want us to talk about, man. But I definitely want to know your thoughts about Caitlin Clark. I don't agree with the treatment of her at all. Is she innocent? No, but she does not deserve the treatment she's getting. She's their cash cow for the WNBA. So I don't understand why WNBA players are why they're being so petty, man. Like Charles Barkley said, very, very petty. It could hurt their league big time if they don't clean up their act. All right. I'll sign out, but thanks for watching again, and please subscribe to From the Grid to the Rim Sports Talk Show. Have a good day. Have a good weekend.